you speak Russian?
I speak Russian.
Why do you speak Russian?
I grew up in Ukraine and Belarus.
Huh. And so, wait, in Belarus, don't they speak, I'm going to expose myself. I've always thought it was like
Belarusian.
Belarusian?
Yeah.
No, Belarusian is how I've always said it.
Both Russian and Belarusian are spoken in Belarus.
Okay,
but it was mostly Russian when I lived there.
Did you grow up speaking Russian?
I grew up speaking Russian, yeah.
And then at what age did you start speaking English?
When I was 12.
Wow. I don't pick it up at all. Normally I can hear when somebody has like
11 and a half.
No, really.
Like when I
genuinely, I can normally pick up when somebody started speaking another, like especially English at a much later, because there's like little small ticks that they'll give away in the language where you're like, oh no, that's from that other language, but you don't have that at all.
I went to spy school.
You say that as
and
could be very true.
Could be true.
Could be completely
absolutely
true.
true.
We've just got to say as a disclaimer right now, that's probably a joke, and B, if it's true, we had nothing to do with this. We didn't know.
Here's a question.
We did not know at all. This is What Now with Trevor Noah. So, okay, question. This is an honest question. I want to see how you guys think. When you're using like a bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you're washing your hands.
Who says wash our hands?
Let's just imagine you wash your hands after using the bathroom. Okay. What do you think is more natural? Soap first, then lotion, or lotion first, then soap? And what I mean is not in order of use.
Yeah.
I mean how people place the bottles.
Yes.
Should they place the soap closest to the sink? Yeah, soap on the right in relation to you.
So further from the tap, yeah.
Yeah. So is the soap supposed to be closer to the taps or further from the taps? Or should the lotion be closer or further?
No, further from the tap because I move inwards.
Wait. So say what you want.
So lotion, so tap, lotion, soap. Because after washing, I'll go, then I'm out.
Tap,
yeah,
lotion,
yeah, water. Soap. So soap furthest. You know how they do it with the dessert spoons and dessert forks?
This is crazy to me.
Yeah, but I want the soap to be furthest so I can work my way inwards.
This is crazy.
Because remember, I'm going to work my way inwards to closing the tap.
No, this is crazy to me. Okay, so explain this to me. Okay, so you get to the sink.
I open the water.
You get to you open the water.
Yeah, but I first pre-soak my hands.
Okay, so it's fine. You go soap.
Yeah.
You've opened the water.
Yeah.
You wash your hands. Your hands. You now rinse your hands.
Yeah.
Then
lotion.
You turn off the tap.
Yeah.
Then the lotion is next to you.
Yes. The closest to the tap because I need to have just.
Yeah.
And I want the paper to be.
You're crazy in my head.
What do you want it to be?
You are crazy in my head. Dave?
I don't like to, and I'm not being strange, and you know this about me, I don't like to talk about bathrooms because of my feces phobia. But now.
Feces?
Feces phobia.
Oh, so I want you to say it again so you can close yourself out.
No, I thought of it now. I thought it because I was trying to be succinct. But if I had to think about it, to tell the truth, I don't use lotion after washing my hands.
I knew it.
Because you knew it. What does that mean?
You look like the type.
This is like just as crazy to me.
Yeah, but sometimes the bottles are unmarked and then you end up washing your hands with the lotion.
And I don't.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Lera's, Lera's here.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be a problem for me.
What?
If people like you didn't exist, this wouldn't be a problem in the world. We wouldn't need to label it. Lera, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
You're actually the perfect person to jump into this.
I have strong opinions.
You do have strong opinions.
Yes.
About soap or in life?
Well, first of all, you can't soap your hands before you turn on the tap. Now you've made the tap soapy. You're going to have to wash the whole tap again.
Thank you.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but I do a little bit of a pre-soak before. You know how you moisten your toothbrush before?
How long are you in a bathroom for?
But then are you washing the tap after you've done the whole
I've never touched that thing ever again. Me and that thing will never meet. This is the last time
So to me, Dave is more normal to me.
Let me just take away
the sad day when Dave is more normal than you.
What I don't like, personally, forget the soap, lotion, whatever. I don't like the performative washing of hands that happens when you are
Someone's watching.
Yes. You know, like sometimes you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Especially like, and it can happen at work, you go to the bathroom. You take a number. With boys, you take a number 2. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Then you wash your hands, then you dry them, then you leave.
Yeah.
Sometimes you even dry them on your pants. If we're being real
That's my
here.
favorite
Yeah. No,
dry.
let's
Just
be
keep it
real. Yeah.
moving.
Yeah. Let's keep it
But
real.
then sometimes there's a person who you go in, and then because I don't know what they are doing, but they decide to do a whole show of
Like
washing
they're going
their
to perform surgery.
Yes, it's that perform surgery thing where you're like, bro, you do not.
Wash your elbows.
Why are you? Yes, they're washing their whole. You know that thing. I don't know if it happens in ladies' bathrooms, but you're like, then they're washing. What hard?
You know, I wash
washing.
my hands like that.
You know, hard washing, like perform surgery.
You know, I wash my
washing.
hands. You know, I wash my hands like that.
I believe it.
I wash my hands and I sing Happy Birthday when I wash my hands.
Because you have enough time.
Because I was told once that if you sing Happy Birthday, then that's the amount of time you're supposed to be washing your hands for.
Do you choose a different person to sing happy birthday to each time?
That's
I
a
say
crazy
hands
question.
every time.
That's a crazy question. That question is insane.
Where have you been all of my life?
Because you should choose who you're sending these
I
beautiful
always sing
benedictions
No, I sing
to.
it to my hands. I sing it to my hands every single time.
You're sending out messages in a bottle without an address.
Wait, but okay,
You
what,
should do this on Patreon. People should pay you
to sing
Trevor,
them Happy
while-
Birthday
in
while
the
I wash my
bathroom,
hands.
yes.
You know that?
Wait, but I want to know.
You see
Lera's
that
thing.
statement you made there? That statement is: have you ever watched a court case where there's one person's on trial and then the lawyers attacking them, then they bring the other person, and then you realize both people are criminals here. That statement you made of who do you sing Happy Birthday to makes me not trust any of you at all. I don't trust anything you say now. I don't believe. I don't trust any of you.
It was a welcome question because I do sing hands in my head. So I don't sing it if I'm alone. I sing it out loud. But then I sang it out loud once in public, and then I noticed it made people around me uncomfortable.
Oh, really?
Because I literally was like, Happy birthday to
Your
you.
hands?
Happy birthday to you.
Then on
Happy
place of name.
birthday, dear hands. Happy birthday to you. And then when I looked up, the other guy in the mirror was looking at me. And then I could see, in his defense, he was going through many things. One was probably him thinking, does this person only wash his hands once a year? Which is a possibility now. And then the other one was just who sings Happy Birthday to their hands.
And the third
Why
one.
is his name Hands?
And even a fourth one. How does he know it's my birthday?
Imagine if someone in the store shouts, hip, hip.
So wait, Lera, what would you go with? Lotion, which way do you think it should be laid out?
I want the soap closest to the tap.
Thank you. And this is why you are a guest on the show. We only want to speak to experts who know how life is supposed to be, not morons who happen to be friends with Trevor Noah.
In the words of David Kibuka, I knew I couldn't trust any of you.
But you know, the reason this came into my head genuinely was because I was looking at your work, right? And I was like, it's interesting to be a cognitive scientist doing what you do, because you have to spend most of your time thinking about like how people perceive the world versus like how the world is supposed to be or isn't supposed to be, or like literally just like in this week, because I knew you were coming, I was like, oh, I'm just going to think about all the things that seem one way in my head, but then to somebody else could be completely different. I never would have thought that you were like a lotion away person though.
No. I've even planned on how I want to be dressed because let's say someone died in the 80s and then I die in the 2065s.
Yeah.
So that's how long I'm planning to live.
Nice. Good
And
choice.
then I'm wearing something that I think is cool for 2065.
Yeah.
And then they meet me as a spirit, but they're dressed in 1985.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking far ahead because I'm like, I want to have a timeless outfit as a spirit.
And do you dress
And height
yourself
as well.
in
I
that
want to have
timeless
timeless
fashion
height,
every day?
like 6 foot.
Do you dress yourself in that timeless fashion every day?
No. Every day I take chances. But as
you
a
need
spirit,
to practice.
no,
so that
but as a spirit, I've even thought I don't want shoelaces as a spirit.
Wait, but who's dressing you?
In life or as a spirit?
No, as a spirit.
No, it's gonna be at the morgue. So my final and what outfit is already set out because I want to be timeless. Because I don't want to walk in and people go, "He's from now." Nuh-uh.
You want to have a timeless vibe.
Timeless vibe.
People want to be like, "Who's that man who died now? When is he from? He could be from whenever." I mean, he came now, so I'm assuming he's from now.
So cognitively, I'm like, no, I want to be perceived a certain way as a spirit by other spirits who were there before me. Even the ones that find me there, they must be like.
Do you think that like heaven is like jail, where it's like when you're new, you get bullied and stuff?
Of course you do.
Because this is how it feels like you're talking about like heaven or wherever this place is you're going to arrive as a spirit and then people are going to be like, oh, who we got over here?
Of course.
Mr. 2065.
There's no way that people who have been there longer than you don't treat you differently. Remember at preschool it was like this as well?
But it sounds like you're trying to impress people who are from times before.
Yeah, 100%.
What about people from the future, people who will die after you?
Yeah, but
won't
if
they be cooler? Won't they be even more hip?
And I thought you'd say that.
You should try to impress them.
That's why a neutral color Crocs.
Mm-hmm.
Crocs. Set on sports mode.
For sure. You got to go fast in the future.
With giblets.
Wait. What
are my initials?
Mode? Wait, what is sports mode?
It's when the little hook is hooked to your heel.
Did you just say Crocs set to sports mode?
Neutral.
And you refer to sports mode as when that little rubber thing at the heel...
hooks to your heel. Yeah, that's what it's sports mode. And then I'll have those Ghiblis.
He's ready to go fast.
Ghiblis that have my initials so that when someone looks at my neutrally toned Crocs, goes, oh, EK, it's Eugene Koza. They'll be like, of course it is him.
Of course. What else could EK stand for?
But these must be tailored kind of jeans where they're not too low, not too tight, not too, so it's just perfect. So that if maybe I want to wear something, and a classic box cut white t-shirt. So I want to be like timeless classic.
It's got to look fresh in the afterlife.
I'm going to ask you this as an expert in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible for anyone to exist normally through all time?
Mm.
Human cultures change all the time. First of all, across the globe right now in present time, human cultures are super different from one another. But of course, across time, they change remarkably. So that's why I asked my question about the future. We expect future humans to be yet more different than we are now. So preparing for how future humans will see you in your outfit, most importantly, in the afterlife, I think is a very challenging task.
It's a fool's errand.
But maybe the approach should be to stay like really fresh on the inside. So they see your spirit and they're like, it doesn't matter how
But they can't see your spirit if you are a spirit. I think
my whole thing is a spirit.
They feel your spirit.
Or they feel the spirits of the spirit.
You know what breaks me is when you see those mediums that say we're orbs. And I'm like, I don't want to be an orb.
What do you want to be?
I want to be 6 foot, fully beard oiled, fresh cut. I've already chosen my hairstyle, my eternity hairstyle. I'm like, I really want to represent myself well. Because you ever seen those pictures of older people and they say this person was 24? You're like, there's no way
that they were 24 in this picture.
Yeah, you're like, no, life was tough on you. I don't ever want to present like that as a spirit. I want people to go like, he was 60? And then they'll be like, yeah. And then they'll call another spirit that died at 60. They'll be like, hey, Viking. And then he would show up with a battle accent. They're like,
Thorfinn, show your face. This is what 60 looks like, Thorfinn. Not you. You look like you've been plundered to death. I wonder if Here, one of the reasons your vocation fascinates me is because I feel like we all live in it here, right? I think everyone lives in it, but some people I feel like live in it more than others. So we all speak multiple languages. Mm-hmm. We've all grown up in different cultures where the languages and the cultures are different and the people act completely differently. Mm-hmm. And when I was like consuming your work, I was like, oh, this is somebody who actually studies the very idea of what normal is, or what people perceive as normal. Mm-hmm. How do you speak to your parents? How do you speak to your loved ones? How do politicians speak to the constituents? How do people in different political parties speak to each other? you like all of that. I won't lie. When I read through your work, I found myself going, "This is impossible." It's almost like the worst thing that could have happened to us is living in a world where everyone can communicate, because if I'm understanding your work correctly, no one communicates the same, even if we're using the same language.
My favorite quote on communication is the biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it has taken place.
Damn.
We often think we have communicated, and all of us have had this experience of, oh, but I said clearly, and then you realize, oh, communication is actually about the receiving end, not about the sending end.
Yes.
Right. So just because you said something doesn't mean the person understood it the same way that you meant it, or even understood it at all. They could have understood exactly the opposite sometimes. But all of us live in a constructed reality, a reality that our brain constructs with the help of language and culture. But we all believe that we are experiencing reality directly.
Yeah.
And objectively.
And everyone is experiencing a different reality. And so when we come across people who see things differently from us, our first instinct is to say, oh, well, they haven't been exposed to the right information. I'll just give them the right information and that'll convince them.
Yeah.
And then you try to do that and it still doesn't work. You still disagree. Then you say, well, they must be stupid or biased. And you give up. Instead of saying, well, maybe I see things the way I do because of my history and my own set of experiences. And so maybe I can learn from this misunderstanding, or I can learn from this miscommunication and broaden the way I see things as well. But there's an infinite set of ways to see any issue, no matter how small or how large.
Are you thinking this? Do you use the internet? Like, do you use social media?
Sometimes.
No. Because I was just like, wow. Like, if you use the internet with this level of intellect and grace, it would take long to like scroll even one page, because the person's going to say something. Then you're like, damn, this is misogynistic or racist. But let me put myself in their shoes. Where did they grow up? And what were their experiences? How did they experience the world? Who are their influences? I can now see what they possibly meant with this. All right, next tweet. This is misogynistic and racist. Wait, hold on. How did they grow up? Is that what you're doing all the time? Or are you able to like switch it off, switch it on? I'm saying this is like as a superpower, but it's not. It's something you actually like work on. Forgive me.
Well, there's certainly some learning experiences that are more worthwhile than others, right?
Okay.
So there's certain disagreements or miscommunications you enter into that you think, oh, this is going to be really worthwhile for me to learn something. This is a good learning moment for me. When I travel a lot, for example, I travel to small communities all over the world where people are very different from me. And those experiences are often challenging. And it's in those moments of challenge that you're going to learn something. Right? That's right when you think, oh, I'm frustrated. I'm about to have a sense of humor failure. That's when I think, all right, this is the time for me to really expand what I think is possible in the world, expand how I see the world, really see something from another point of view.
How would you describe what you do? Because your job title is like a paragraph long.
I study how humans think, and I study how humans get so smart. Not individually, but, as a group.
Oh, you see, I wish like your bio is so much longer. Cognitive scientists studying the connection between human language and evolution and societal understandings of reality and cognitive-based, blah, blah. And I was like, man, I like the way you just said it. How humans think and?
How humans get so smart. And a big part of that is language and culture. The languages and cultures that we all marinate in teach us what thousands of years of the humans before us have developed. It's intellectual property that is contained in languages developed by ancestors and ancestors' ancestors. And we as children are given it. We take it completely for granted as if it's just part of the air that we breathe. But of course, each person with their own history, their own linguistic experience gets a different set of cognitive basics to work with. And yet we all walk around thinking that we see the world exactly as it is. We see the world purely as reality when everyone else is using their own set of filters and their own set of experiences.
Question.
Yes.
If you had a person who is had born in like two different languages, like let's say English and Chinese, let's say.
Mandarin.
Thank you. And
Everyone's now on best behavior. There's a linguist.
Yeah, no,
Have
no.
to
Now,
name the
no,
languages
now we're
properly.
fully on it. We're fully. You don't even understand.
And for all intents and purposes, for all, I don't know how to make everything equal, but for all intents and purposes, they were like identical environments, let's say, but just the languages were different. Would they be, according to you, yes or no? I don't know if it's, would they be like different people? Because language is so part of like our personality. Would just switching the language make the person a different person?
Yeah, you can actually do that with bilinguals. You can do studies like that with bilinguals where you make them do a task in one language or another. And you can see that they think differently depending on what language they're doing it in. And many bilinguals will tell you, and I feel this too, like you're almost a different person when you're speaking two different languages. Now, there may be some parts of that personality that shift because of the context in which you use the language. So, for example, one language might be the language of childhood, another the language of work, another the language of something else, right? So there could be contexts, but there are definitely structural elements of language that lead you to think one way or another, depending on which language you're using in the moment.
So, sorry, just because in my mind, a bilingual person is sort of like, I might be wrong, but it's sort of like the same person using two different like outfits or something. Do you know what I mean? Like they just dress differently in a way.
No,
I'm not saying it. I'm asking. I'm
answering as a linguistics expert.
Thank you so much.
You know what I've noticed? When him and I are speaking in English, we are...
No further questions.
I just got an honorary doctorate.
You know what Eugene just did? It's like you were in court, right? And then you asked the defendant on the stand, you asked, on the night of the murder, Mr. Watkins, what were you doing between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 p.m.? And then as Mr. Watkins was about to say something, Eugene shouted from the gallery, was just like, nothing. Now, as I was saying...
We're talking. Okay, so there's two parts to what I want to say. We're talking to this other friend of ours, and then we're talking about how his wife grew up with 3 other siblings, right?
Yeah.
And then the other siblings spoke a different language because the mom insisted that they speak this language.
Yeah.
Then the other ones did not speak that language, and we were trying to figure out how different they are as human beings. But I've also realized with us, when we speak English, we become more structured and we know what to say. But then when we switch to Zulu, we are more mischievous and humorous. Like him and I, we just go, and then we come back again. So to your point, it's almost like a persona that comes on based on the language and what it reminds you of and where you draw it from. Because there was never anything traumatic about us speaking the way we... It's actually very nostalgic.
Yeah, but I would even argue this on top of that. I think what I've found is the language itself, like language itself contains information, right? And this is what I'd love to learn from you on like on an expert level is the way I understand it is when I think of words that I speak in every language, the word itself comes with information encoded within it. So, so beyond like just the word, like the meaning of the word. So sort of to your question, Dave, is like, I find that let's say for instance, I miss you. Let's say a sentence like, I miss you, right?
Never say those words to me.
Yeah, but when I say ngikumbulile.
Oh yeah, zimfanas.
You see? So like, I miss you, it has its meaning, but then ukumbula is more like to remember somebody.
Yes.
And while they both share the same like space, if they want a diagram, you would say, yes, missing someone and remembering them, but it actually like means something different. Being hungry in some languages is very different to being hungry in other languages when you look at the words. And I often think to myself, it might be because those peoples had a different period of hunger that influenced the making of their word for hunger. And then these people had a different period of hunger. And so their word for hunger doesn't contain the same like gravity.
Gravitas.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same level of like gravity in hunger. Is that like even in the right ballpark?
Well, so what you're pointing out is that every language is its own complex system, and all the words in that language relate to other words inside that language. They exist in relation to another.
Yeah.
And so when you try to translate to a whole other system, there's never going to be a perfect translation because you might pick a word that's kind of similar, but it lives in a set of relationships to other words,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah,
system, the shape of the whole system is different. So it's like saying, what is the equivalent of a rook from chess in ice hockey? Well, there isn't an exact equivalent because they're two different systems. They have different kinds of players and different rules and so on. So there can never be a perfect translation because each language is such a complex, interconnected system with hundreds of thousands of words that have to relate to each other and are covering the entire conceptual space that people in that language group want to talk about. So that process of translation where you feel unsatisfied when you want to say something in another language and you're like, oh, it's not exactly right. That's because you're now using a completely different system and it's not going to be exactly the same.
So Chinese Dave, I was about to ask you a question. So Chinese Dave can never be English Dave, is what you're saying?
Well, fundamentally, they're going to be different systems of thinking. But for a bilingual, what's interesting is people who've learned both Mandarin and English don't act like monolinguals of either language. They act like a blend of the two.
That's right.
More like a Mandarin speaker when they're speaking Mandarin, more like an English speaker when they're speaking English, but never quite like a monolingual of either. So once you learn a second language, it's adding something to your cognitive system that you can't just turn off completely.
Also, in different languages, we meet sort of like similar characters. If you know people from different languages, I mean, like, so let's say you have Russian friends and English friends. You'll have an English friend who is happy-go-lucky and, personality-wise, but a Russian friend who's also happy-go-lucky personality-wise. Does that make... So it's almost like how much...
I think a chance to ask.
I think it was confusing because you said Russian and happy-go-lucky.
Yes,
I think your example didn't help us.
Yes.
Because if you said Russian and like hardcore, then I would be like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Because I think I understand your question completely. I just think you threw us off by saying Russian and happy-go-lucky.
I did throw you off.
I don't think I've ever met a happy-go-lucky Russian.
I did.
In fact, I had a friend.
It's not typical for Eastern Europeans.
Yeah, but I had a friend who said something to me, like one of the craziest things ever. Russian guy who said to me, because I was making a joke with him, and then I was like, oh, of course you. I said that's racist, but of course you'd be racist. You're Russian. But this was a complete joke amongst friends. And then he said, yes, but we are because our language is like that. And then I was like, what do you mean? And then he said to me that in Russian, I don't know how to. He said something like, the prejudice towards colors is more apparent in Russian than it is when he's speaking English. And I was like, I don't even understand what that means. But it stuck with me forever. He said, yes, the way we speak about color is that like a real thing, or was he just trying to hide his racism?
I speak Russian. I can't immediately connect a linguistic fact to that claim.
Yeah, you must, because people just say things to you. You can just say, because now he was Russian. What was I going to do? Fight with him? Be like, you're lying. That's not a thing. But I didn't.
But I can confirm that Eastern Europeans are not happy-go-lucky as a standard personality trait. It's only an idiot would be happy in a world such as it is today.
Wow!
Right?
Wow!
The proper state.
Wow! We just met.
Reflective melancholy.
Wow!
Reflective melancholy.
Wow!
I hope that explains it.
Perfectly.
Wait, you speak Russian?
I speak Russian.
Why do you speak Russian?
I grew up in Ukraine and Belarus.
Huh. And so, wait, in Belarus, don't they speak, I'm going to expose myself. I've always thought it was like Belarusian.
Yeah.
No, Belarusian is how I've always said it.
Both Russian and Belarusian are spoken in Belarus.
Okay.
It was mostly Russian when I lived there.
Did you grow up speaking Russian?
I grew up speaking Russian, yeah.
And then at what age did you start speaking English?
When I was 12.
Wow. I don't pick it up at all. Normally I can hear when somebody has like...
11 and a half.
No, really.
Like
Genuinely? I can normally pick up when somebody started speaking another, like especially English at a much later, because there's like little small ticks that they'll give away in the language where you're like, oh no, that's from that other language. But you don't have that at all.
I went to spy school.
You say that as
And
could be very true.
That's
Could be
not-
completely
absolutely
true.
true.
We've just got to say as a disclaimer right now.
could
A,
be-
that's probably a joke, and B, if it's true, we had nothing to do with this. We didn't know.
Here's a question.
We did
another
not know at
question.
all.
What language do you dream in?
You know, the language I dream in changes a lot depending on where I am. So, for example, I speak Spanish badly, but if I'm in a Spanish-speaking environment, I start dreaming in Spanish, and all of that din in my head immediately switches into Spanish. And frustratingly, the din in my head is so much better Spanish than the Spanish I can speak out loud.
Oh, wow.
My French in my head, accentless, perfect. When I try to speak it out loud, totally different. But I think that the language you dream in can switch very, very quickly, even for languages that you don't speak that well. At least that's what happens for me.
So I've always thought, and this again is just me in my own amateur scientist world.
Amateur.
I've always thought.
Did you call yourself?
Thank you, Eugene. You're very kind. So
I'm
I've,
not just
I've-
too high, by the way.
Yeah, it's very hard. Bumbling idiot. Yeah.
So I've always thought that the reason the languages you aren't necessarily the most fluent in are fluent in your brain is because your brain actually does know those languages fluently, but the tongue can't achieve them fluently. Because remember, language exists in two places. It exists in your mind and it exists in your mouth. So sometimes you can hear perfectly, you can dream it perfectly, and then when you speak it, your tongue is like, okay, let me put it this way. Imagine yourself doing a backflip right now. Just imagine it.
You know how many girls would have?
I love that in your world. You've kept like grade 6 standards for getting girls.
That's how we got here in the first place. Oh, grade 6 standards.
Oh man. So imagine yourself doing a backflip. Just literally try it now.
Yeah.
Just imagine yourself doing a backflip. You can, right? Now do a backflip. Do it. It's impossible.
Imagine how many girls would lose if we.
No, but what I'm saying is-
if we tanked their backflip on the podcast.
No, but what I'm saying is I always feel like language is the same. I think that there's a lot of language that we really do know in our heads without even realizing how much of it we know. Someone will speak something, so you'll go like, oh, I don't,
No, 100%.
I don't speak
I know what you
Spanish
mean, yeah.
well. But someone will speak Spanish and be like, wow, I understand so much more than I thought.
Well, there's comprehension and there's production, and those are two different skills.
Okay, what I'm talking about.
Wait, break it down first.
Well,
The production part.
Production is being able to actually speak. So that's the being able to do the backflip, being able to dunk a basketball.
Yeah.
I can understand when someone else dunks a basketball. I can't myself dunk a basketball. That's the production part. Right?
Okay, got it.
Whereas in language, you have a lot more practice doing comprehension because people are speaking all around you than you do production, actually speaking the language. So the reason that we feel like we understand a language a lot better than we can speak it is just an imbalance of practice. You have a lot more practice trying to understand it than you actually have producing
We
it.
hear it more than we speak it.
Is English really the easiest language to speak? I've always heard it referred to as the bastard tongue, and they say it makes it the easiest language to learn. Why are you looking at me like that?
Called it that.
They call it the bastard tongue. I've always heard English referred to as the bastard tongue because it has all these other languages in it. Mm-hmm. And when you speak, because it is such a bastard tongue,
Now it's no longer they say.
you can speak you can speak it. From what I understand, you can speak English the worst and still be understood the best versus most other languages.
You can butcher it.
You can completely
and
butcher
still
it.
get away with it.
Yes.
Well, that is a good point because English speakers are used to hearing English spoken so many different ways because there are so many second language speakers of English. There are other languages that no second language speakers even attempt, right? So very few foreigners attempt to speak Albanian. And so Albanians, if you go there and you try to speak Albanian, they will look at you funny, like, what are you even trying to do?
Because they aren't used to people speaking it badly.
Because they've never heard someone speak it badly. You either speak Albanian or not. Whereas English, you hear there's so many second language speakers, many more second language speakers than native English speakers. You've heard it every which way.
Yeah.
So your range of understanding has had to broaden. What you allow as the possible hypotheses of what someone might say has to broaden.
Okay, so
That doesn't mean it's the easiest to learn. That just means that the ears that it's falling on, especially people in urban areas.
Yeah.
So we're in New York, right? here in New York, people have heard people speak English in all kinds of ways. There are certain parts of the country you can go to where you won't get that same kind of grace because they just haven't heard all the different accents and all of the different speeds at which the language can be spoken.
I like that.
So here's the question I have for you then. In the world we're living in today, is it possible that we are all fighting with each other? I say all, but I mean, let's just say people online / whatever. Is it possible that we're all fighting with each other just because we don't understand each other? And I mean like language-wise, as opposed to we actually disagree. Like, I mean, like half of the political fights happening online, half of the arguments that people have with their family members, people have in romantic relationships. Could it be that a large number of those just come from us not speaking the same language to each other, even though we think we are speaking the same language?
I think sometimes misunderstandings happen because we're using language to communicate and we believe language to be a real thing. So let me give you an example. Suppose we have a word like freedom. Now, language convinces us wrongly that there is such a thing that is freedom, that the word points to. And so if I say freedom and you also say freedom, we must be pointing to the same thing.
Oh, damn.
But I could be pointing to a different idea than you are. And
You're pointing at a potato.
Exactly. But freedom is a very complex idea and it could mean many different things in many different contexts.
Wow.
And so just because we're using the same words, we think we should be talking about the same thing, but often we're not talking about the same thing at all. And even as you shift from context to context, what freedom means, what privacy means, those things will change. And you don't notice that you're now talking about a different thing because you're using the same word. It creates the illusion, the word creates the illusion that it's something real and solid that you're talking about, like a potato, when in fact what you're talking about is something abstract and amorphous.
This is crazy. Do you remember I said this to you back in the day when Trump was still running? And I said this to Dave, not that you didn't know, but I remember saying to you at some point, I feel like, and it was you and I in specifically. So we were working at the Daily Show at the time, and Dave and I were there and we're chatting, and then we both watched like a rally or something of Donald Trump's, and then we said, man, this guy's really making inroads with people. And then some of the people we were working with were like, are you crazy? There's no inroads being made here. He said the dumbest thing ever. And then I was like, oh, I didn't hear it like that. It just seemed like he didn't use sort of like politician-y words to approach this topic. But I think he did a good job of putting his case forward. And they're like, nope. That was a completely stupid thing. That was crazy. And then I said to Dave, we're having the conversation, I said, maybe it's because we grew up in a world where like our parents didn't have English as a first language, that we grew up learning to hear what the person is meaning versus the words that they're actually using. You know what I mean? So when my mother used to say, or my uncle rather would be like, put volume on the TV, it'd be like, put volume. I knew what he meant. You know what I mean? Like,
What did he mean?
He meant increase the volume. Do you get what I'm saying? So like put volume, I wasn't going to sit there and be like, there's no volume to be put here, uncle.
You could have tried it.
Yeah, my friend. Hey, man.
Are we not podcast?
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying?
You learn to be a cooperative listener and understander.
Right.
You want to
That's actually a thing, being a cooperative listener.
Have you tried it?
No.
Eugene is he's the most cooperative listener you'll ever come across. Do you ever think that then, okay, this is then what I wonder, is like cooperative listener, but how do you know when you're being a cooperative listener or not? Like what if you're cooperating so much that you're just now giving them a message that they aren't giving?
The only way to find out if there's a miscommunication is to continue talking, right? So if I say, pass the salt, and I get salt and there's more salt on my food, a moderate amount of success has been achieved. Now, you may have had a very different idea of what salt is or what it's for or why I asked for it. We could have had miscommunication on all kinds of levels, but the modest goal of me having more salt on my food has been achieved. But for anything more complex, you're going to have to keep talking. You're going to have to keep asking questions. You're going to have to keep expanding. And so nothing is ever fully communicated in a sentence or a paragraph, right? It's always lots and lots of conversations in families and relationships and political careers. All of these things just have to continuously be developed and examined and built. And there's never an end to it, because what you're trying to do is build a very complex conceptual world with someone. You're trying to build a set of ideas that probably haven't existed before. Like in this conversation so far, we have all uttered sentences that no humans have ever uttered before. Ever. So we are building a complex conceptual world, a structure that can't easily be replicated in any other context. And the only way to find out if we're achieving understanding is to continue talking, right? To continue examining the parts of the structure and saying, is this what you meant? Is this what you meant? Can I go over here? Someone might object and say, wait a second, that wasn't possible in the world that I had in my mind.
Yeah.
Why would you think you could go over there?
Don't go anywhere, because we got more What Now after this. Pretty much every brand offers rewards these days, but most of them, let's be honest, they aren't that rewarding. Well, starting now, Verizon's doing rewards different, rewards you'll love all year round for every customer. They're introducing Verizon Dollars, which gives you cash back every month just for being a customer. That's it. Plus, you have the flexibility to use those glorious new dollars how you want. Shop with Verizon. Get gift cards for the brands that you love, or transfer them to our partner programs. They're also introducing Verizon Shine, where now, every Monday, you can snag once-in-a-lifetime experiences like NFL tickets across the globe, all-inclusive music festivals, and the chance to meet your favorite stars, plus daily drops, tickets, and pre-sale access all week. So let's recap. Cashback in your pocket every month with Verizon Dollars, and epic experiences from Verizon Shine every Monday all year round. Now those are some rewarding rewards. Only from Verizon. Enroll today at Verizon.com.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Shaved ice by the beach. A trip to the state fair. And a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval, Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
So what would you say is like the end, I mean, I say goal, but like, what are you trying to achieve with your work? Like, what is the, if you could sort of fast forward and travel through time to a place where you have reached the ultimate conclusion and you've discovered it all, what is that discovery?
Well, I'm fascinated by human intelligence.
Yeah.
And how
or lack thereof.
Let's say human intelligence.
It's still there.
I just wanted to see what would happen if she was going to be like, you're damn right, those dumbasses. No, she's a professional. She's like, let's just say human intelligence.
For that department.
So humans have accomplished incredible things with their minds. We're gifted with these brains that create symphonies and create mathematical systems and create these whole complex societies. We build them out of really simple physical interactions with the world. So we get, photons in our eyes, pressure in our ears. We can press against surfaces with our fingers. And from that physical set of components, we build these incredibly complex abstract ideas. That is incredible. And I would like to understand how we do that. And the more we understand how humans build complex knowledge, the better we can actually make our own thinking, the more complex, more interesting, more abstract the thoughts we can make. You could argue artificial intelligence is another example of that. It's another kind of really complex intelligence that is building its own thinking now. And that's another set of questions that you could ask. Okay, how is it constructing all these complex, interesting, abstract ideas?
AI always confuses me because the argument about AI is people be like, it's not intelligence, because all it is a machine that figures out which word would generally come after the previous word. based on likelihood.
Yeah.
That's what your brain does.
Yeah, that's my problem. Then I go, but isn't that what our brain is doing all the time? That's why we say and and because we're also like searching for the word, and sometimes we'll even say, the
What's the
thing.
word? What's the
What's the word for? That's so. So then I wonder if we will ever be able to know when AI is actually being intelligent or not, because we know how it works, but we don't know how we work. And then like, what if that's all we are? What if we are just large language models randomly predicting the next word in a sentence, and then we've always thought like we're special, but we're not. We're just,
Right. I mean, how do you know that I'm thinking right now at all? As opposed to just producing the next most likely word in a sentence.
You really sound like a spy, Lera. I'm not gonna lie. Some of the things you say, I'm just like, I feel like we're gonna look back on this interview and we're gonna go like, she was a spy the whole time, and then they're gonna put us up. That's the worst thing these days.
It said that in my bio. You didn't finish reading my bio.
I don't know if you think about. I think about this all the time. I go, you know how like people will put up clips when someone is like exposed for something.
Yeah.
They'll go like, the secret life of Lera Boroditsky, spy, and they'll put that, and they'll be like, she was welcomed everywhere, and then they'll put us up. Hello, Lera. Nice to have you. And then like in that documentary or in the streets, people are like, you welcomed her. Then you're like, I didn't know. I hadn't watched this documentary because it hadn't come out yet. I didn't know that she was a spy.
And then they
someone
will have
say,
clips being like,
she looked at you and
I
said,
am a Russian spy.
there you go.
Yeah.
Speaking of watching
great
things,
Russian accent.
speaking of watching things, way back when you have the TED Talk, that's the huge TED Talk.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can I just say this?
Are you?
Wait. No, I am. Can I tell you why? I wonder who the first person
You
was.
aren't sorry.
No, I promise you I'm sorry. I promise you I'm sorry.
Saying
No,
what
but
I
I promise you I'm sorry. But I was thinking this. I wonder who the first person was to say, speaking of, they just took a thing and then they were like, I want to go on my own tangent. And then they just, because clearly they were not talking about what the other people were talking about.
Yeah.
So someone walked into a house somewhere and went, my gosh, it's cold out there. My boots are frozen to my ankles. I feel like I could die. And then someone went, speaking of ankles.
Know which one I hate?
Have you ever wondered why the foot and the ankle are always in the same vicinity? I was just thinking, sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, speaking of, it's
Speaking
better.
of.
You know what I
Speaking
hate? By the way. And I'm like, by whose way?
So, sorry, Dave.
Anyway, continue, Dave.
Speaking of, sorry, Dave.
Gave him a taste of his medicine. He doesn't like it.
No.
He's like, this is what you guys go through.
Speaking of watching things, now I don't even know what the watching was.
That's what we go through.
I watched way back when your TED Talk went huge. I watched it, and one of the things that I found interesting was the Cook Tire people.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell us their log line, please.
So there are languages in the world that don't use relative terms like left and right to organize space, and instead everything is done in some kind of absolute space. So for example, cardinal directions like north, south, east, and west. And when I say everything, I mean everything. So in some languages, you would say, oh, there's an ant on your southwest leg. And if you move the leg, obviously it's no longer your southwest leg, so now you have to recalculate. So imagine doing the hokey pokey in a language like that. You put your north leg in, you take your east leg out.
Yes.
You're constantly recalculating. So in Cook Tire, the way you say hello is you say, which way are you going? And the answer should be something like north-northwest in the far distance. How about you? And so as you walk around, you have to stay oriented. Even small children are oriented all the time. Do you want me to ask you
what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Close your eyes and point southeast.
You mean like right now?
Right now.
I mean,
It's a visual podcast.
I mean, I can't, but I'll try. Wait, let me think. So, I'm gonna go there.
Okay. Open up your eyes. So you went. Well, I don't know which way it is, but you guys haven't helped me.
I'm gonna go that way.
Like south, and I was like, a little bit.
Yeah.
So there are places in the world where people have no trouble with this question. Even small children will be able
All the time.
Because in order to speak the language, you have to be oriented.
All the time.
Like you can't even say we're going to lunch. You have to say we're northwesting to lunch. Every motion verb carries a direction.
So, question.
Forgive my ignorance here. Wait. You've just thrown us into a fantastic rabbit hole. Do they have, like, is this even indoors?
Even indoors, yes. People who speak languages like this live in all kinds of different environments.
Yeah.
Some live in forests, some live in deserts. There are all kinds of physical environments. Some are flat, some are mountainous. The only thing is they don't tend to live in cities. Cities tend to be dominated by these massive languages that use left and right. But it's about a third of the world's languages that use absolute directions of some kind, primarily. Not a third of the world's speakers, but a third of the world's languages. So they tend to be smaller languages.
Damn.
But it's a completely different way of organizing yourself in the world. And one experience I had when I was spending time with the Kuuk-Thaayorre is I started seeing myself from a bird's eye view, and I was like a little red dot that was traversing the landscape. And then as I turned, the little window that had opened up in my mind rotated in my mind, but stayed locked on the landscape. And as soon as it did that automatically, I thought, oh, well, that makes it so much easier. Now I have this automatically updating map. And I kind of sheepishly confessed it to someone there. I said, this weird thing happened. And they said, well, of course. How else would you do it? It's obvious. And then if you look at all the artwork from folks in that area, it's all done from a bird's eye view.
No.
That's just how they see the world.
So
they've figured out the whole system.
I'm just thinking of this now, is, crop circles, and they have those, sometimes they're birds, not only crop circles, those
Structures that you can only see from up above.
See from above. So do you think that someone who grew up in that kind of language, if they walked around it, because if we walked around, I assume we would just be like, we would have no idea that there was a bird if you were above. Do you think that they would have some semblance of, wait a minute, I just walked around a shape that is
A bird.
That's a really great question. No one has done a study exactly like that, but people, when speakers of those languages are taken to new environments, they continue to stay oriented really well, and they continue to maintain a sense of where they are relative to all kinds of unseen locations. So you can take them to a new location out in the bush they've never been, no visibility, and say, can you point to Melbourne or can you point to Sydney? And they can do that. And the only way to do that is to keep track of how far you've traveled and at what speed, and to continue to maintain a geometry in your mind. So
those people would never make
that would be awesome
great
to
kidnap
try.
Victims. Ne?
Yeah,
Put a hoodie over them, drive them around, they'll be like,
yeah, and then when they take the hoodie off and then read this out to your family. Hey, I'm here at Northwest, and they've taken me, and you guys are southeast of me. Now come and get.
But here's the language that I'm most interested in, and I've heard this question asked before, the one that Dave asked about what language do people dream in, and in most cases I can't answer that question because I don't feel like there's a language in my dreams. I feel like I just understand. I interact with someone and I'm like, yeah, it's some form of telepathy. It's what makes friends great friends. It's the words that are not spoken between them. It's actually what, when they look at each other and go, I know, you also hungry? I was feeling hungry too. So I'm thinking, when we recognize other languages, even recognize sign language and body language, do we recognize telepathy as a language? The fact that we understand without speaking?
Well, certainly it's not fully telepathy in the sense that there's still a body language component to it. There's still a context around it. But all of that is part of communication, right? So even the way we move our bodies, the way we gesture, our facial expressions are all very rich channels of communication, and they also differ between language groups. So what a gesture means for one group of speakers is going to be something different for another group of speakers.
Can we go back to the Kuuk-Thaayorre?
Kuuk-Thaayorre, yeah.
So thank you, by the way, Dave, for bringing that up. What are the advantages to them perceiving the world like this? Like, what do they have that we don't have? Just in general, are there any benefits, or is it just like a certain swag of living?
Well, any way that you think of space will have some advantages and some disadvantages, right? So if you're able to stay oriented better than we used to think humans could, which is what the Kuuk-Thaayorre and many other groups like them do, that's an incredible human gift. And when I say better than we used to think humans could, what I mean is scientists generally study undergraduates at universities, and we call those humans. And then we say, this is what humans can do, and this is what humans can't do. And so for decades, scientists would say, well, humans can't orient very well because we studied undergrads at North American universities.
Oh, damn.
And then we went to other locations and found humans who not only could do the thing that we thought was biologically impossible for human brains, but the little kids could do it. And it wasn't even that hard to learn. And so to me, that is an incredible example of the things that we think are possible are often just the things that we're used to.
Yeah.
Their brain is capable of doing so much more. And sometimes it's not even that hard to get there. We just have to imagine and want to try, right? And this is a case for me where this group of people have this incredible cognitive skill where, as I'm describing it to you, you're like, whoa, they do it all the time?
Yeah. My brain,
like it's,
yes.
Yeah, they do it all. But it's not actually even that hard. Like if you wanted to learn how to do it, you could do it in a week. And you would start to organize your whole life in that way. And then you would have a new cognitive skill. You would know where things are. You would have a mental map of things in your house that are organized in north, south, east, west coordinates. You would just have a different way of looking at your whole physical space.
Is there a language you've come across that's more effective at conveying information than others? Like, are there languages that are particularly good at, like could you say some languages are better at conveying an emotion, and some languages are better at conveying in like hardcore data and information, and then some languages are better at conveying even
Humor.
like even humor or anger, or does each language have that in them, and all languages are equal?
Languages have specialized vocabularies for different things. So some languages have more color words, and so it's easier to convey color distinctions in those languages. Other languages have more smell terms.
Smell terms?
Yeah.
So, which language? Well.
You know,
Sorry, yes.
you see what I meant about this mischief? Sorry. You see what I meant? It was all fun and games, intellectual in English. So which other languages? And then you see, this is what I go through every day.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
What a delightful work environment.
He's so north, east, west, this guy.
But there's some things that may seem ineffable in one language. Like in English, we don't have a lot of smell terms. And so people say, oh, well, smell is ineffable. But then you go to another language and they have tons of smell terms. So it turns out the ineffable can be effed, depending on the language that you speak. So different languages will have specialized vocabularies for different kinds of things. There's not one language that is like, yes, it's easy to communicate all the things in this language. There are trade-offs.
Another question.
I want you to start making statements.
Yeah.
Just to vary it up.
Yeah.
I just feel like as an audience member, I'm just like, all this guy comes, when they're like, those people who just come with empty hands. All they do is come here, hands, question. What about statements,
I've
Dave?
come with the mind of a student, not the mind of a master. Because I'm here with a master.
That was a beautiful statement. You see, that was beautiful. I've come with the mind of a student and not the mind of a master.
Because I'm in the presence
of
a master.
That was wonderful.
But can you call a female master a mistress?
Is that what it is? I don't think that's the evolution of the word.
You can't?
I'm not sure
So if someone is a master and they're male, makes sense.
What was the female
version of a master?
Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know.
I'm going to look this
This
up.
next topic was brought to you by misogyny.
No, I want to see, but this is something I want to see.
The question.
You ask your question, Dave.
Yes. They have that is an additional cognitive skill. Like almost like we don't have it. They're not missing one. Like what do we use? Do you know what I mean? They're not missing one.
Well, so using left and right is a different kind of cognitive
so that's
skills.
our one is
So-
left and right.
Yeah, so you have to learn the difference between left and right, and you have to be able to apply left and right in lots of different orientations. So, like, it could be your left, my left. So I
Appropriately.
have to be able to do the mental rotation to say it's on your left as opposed to on my left, right?
Which is
It's
more
itself is-
simple than, but
it's just a different skill, a different reference frame to
yes.
think in.
Can they do that?
In many communities that have been tested, they can't. That's not their way of organizing space. And sometimes even if they look at left-right mirror images of something that's decontextualized, like a little figurine of a girl sitting under a tree or whatever, and they see a mirror image, they'll say it's the same, because to them it's not placed in any physical context that they can recognize geographically. So they say it's not meaningfully different.
So, and that brings me to but this another thing you had was, if I'm not mistaken, was some people don't count distinctly. Because of their language.
Some languages don't have number words. Yeah.
So, okay. Now that one, because I can get
Wait. So like the word 1, 2, 3. Some languages don't have.
Some languages don't have any exact number words. Some
Okay.
languages have number words up to about 2 or 3 or 4. And then after that, it becomes few or many. Some languages count in base 13 or base 87 instead of base 10. Or base 27. Some count in a version of binary times 10.
Yeah, Zulu's the same.
But that I get.
You count up to 9
Yeah.
and 10, and then after that is 10 and 1.
10 and 1, 10 and
10
2,
and 2,
20.
yeah.
Okay.
2 and 3.
But that's more. But the
Oh.
people who do the many, like, I mean, in the sense of, they don't have 1, 2, 3. They don't.
No, they just have relatively few, relatively more. Yeah.
Okay. So now, in terms of, from a language point of view, the thing that they are observing. So I see 5 cats here. They're not 5 cats. Obviously, I'm not losing it, But I see 5 cats. A person from that language, what happens? What do they see?
They see some cats. And I'll tell you, so very often people will ask questions like I asked this question when I first heard about this language. I said, well, but some of these people have, 7 kids. How do they keep track of their kids? And I was immediately told, you must not have children because you don't actually keep track of your children by counting them. You don't just need to achieve a certain number of short people. You know them as individuals, right? There needs to be Timmy and Bobby and so on. And so when people need to keep track of a certain number of things, so for example, you have your axe with a notch in the handle, and the axe that has a red handle, and the axe that your brother gave you, you know them as individuals. But then in other cases, having the number is actually completely unimportant in the natural world. Like 3 fish doesn't equal 3 fish because each fish is a different size and freshness and tastiness than every other fish. What's important is how good of a meal you're going to have. 3 fish certainly doesn't equal 3 tomatoes in any important sense. The exact numerosity only matters once you start using money. So then you need to have an abstract unit and you have to be able to count things. But up until then, having an exact, like I have 7 children, that's not the important. You don't want to have 7 children. You want to have all of your children, all of your axes and so on.
But like the thing you're saying about, you also said a thing about some cultures we have a forest and then they can't comprehend a forest or something along those lines. They comprehend separate trees. Am I?
I don't remember saying that.
It's almost to the same idea. What I'm trying to say is like, I get what you're saying. It's a question. So I see 3 people here. Some people just see a few people. They never go 3. It never occurs that they go 3. Because that's not part of, like almost like, I don't want to say a baby, but if your brain doesn't do that, then it doesn't do that. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, to get to the idea of 3, or especially once we get to slightly larger numbers like 7 or 9, what we normally do is count. And so you apply this list of words that you learned as a kid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. And you name all of the objects in the array. So I'm going to name 1, 2,
That
3,
number
4.
is a name.
Yes. And the last word that you say, that's the number of items. So there 1, 2, 3, 4 people. That's how I know. That's a little skill that we learn as kids. So once you have to get an exact number of anything above 3 or 4, 3 you can kind of do visually, but like 7, it gets harder. You start applying this little linguistic trick that you learned. But if you don't have number words in your language and you never learn that linguistic trick, then you just say, okay, there are a few. And you can approximately say there are a few more here than there, but it's not exact.
It's not exact.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So now, sorry to hog the mic, but actually I'm not sorry. Because you said don't say sorry unless you are, which I'm not. Also with the time, is it Arabic the one way?
It goes
or like
right to left.
Letters, right to left, right to left. This is just a simple question. Do you think that it was like a QWERTY kind of situation? Like you read right to left in one language, left to right in another language. Mm-hmm. Do you think it was like a QWERTY kind of situation? QWERTY, the keyboard. Is that somebody basically went, guys, it's easier to do it this way, and then everything went that way? Is it like that?
Writing systems got developed in different directions based on the kinds of tools that people were using for writing. So if you're primarily writing by chiseling on stone, you have your dominant hand for holding the precise instrument and the other hand for hammering. But if you're going to be writing with ink, then you want to write in a way that doesn't smudge the ink as you go. So you end up with different writing directions based on how predominantly people were doing the writing, what tools they were using.
Okay.
And then that just sticks around for centuries, yeah.
Okay. Then here's my last one, so to speak. Hopefully not the last one, but
there's another one, so to speak.
You said...
You can just say the last few.
Yeah.
Last few. Doesn't have to have a number attached
Never.
to it.
All week, folks. That was good. That was good. It was. Yes, it was. I was so... Because I did think about this one. You said that blame is different in different like Spanish. You use Spanish and English. Could you explain to us if you still remember?
Sure. So in some languages, like in English, it's normal to put yourself as an agent of an event, even if it was something accidental. So if I knocked over this glass and it broke, it would be completely normal for me to say, I broke the glass, even if it was a complete accident. I can even say in English, I broke my arm. That's the normal way to say it. In other languages, you would say, the glass broke, or the glass broke itself, or to me it happened that the glass broke, or my arm broke, the arm broke on me, all kinds of other constructions you can imagine. And so some languages distinguish much more strongly between things that are accidents and things that are intentional actions. And what we find is that English speakers are much more likely to look for the agent of an event, even if there isn't one visible, or even if it's an accident. They look for the agent, they blame the agent more, and they remember who the agent is compared to other languages. Or even just in English, if we watch the same event and I say, she broke the glass, as opposed to the glass broke, you're going to want to charge me more for the glass if I said she broke the glass.
It's actually funny because in isiZulu, uxolo means peace, right? And when you say I'm sorry, you say ngiyaxolisa. So which means I'm asking for peace. So there's no word that says I am sorry. So you're asking for peace. So
you're just saying I wish for this conflict to be ended.
Ended, yes.
Yeah. I'm asking for peace to return.
Yes. So I'm asking for peace.
I also love it with, I guess it's in a few languages, but
yeah,
means I am held by hunger.
Yeah.
You don't say I'm hungry.
No.
You are not hungry. Hunger is holding you.
Yes.
Like the hunger has you.
Yeah.
Because you are not the person who is hungry.
And
the hunger is like doing a thing to you.
And so this, if the cultures are not like in a city with everybody together, it really informs what is going on. Because now we're in a multicultural society, you know.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, we can go like, you can have that discussion about different languages. But if there's only one language, then people are like, no, hunger is not a thing that, what did you just say about hunger? Sorry?
Yeah, I'm
Hunger's
saying
holding-
you are not, you're giving hunger its own agency in a way. Because
Yes.
you are not hungry.
So in the culture as a thing, like almost like historically, they'll be like, we gave hunger an agency,
yes.
which, now that I think of it, is with
Are you buffering? Damn, that was crazy. I genuinely thought we were like watching a video there for a second. Did you see that?
yes.
It was real life.
Okay. No,
I
because
think even Lera was like,
no, I don't.
what just happened there?
because I got people are saying that I'm all over the place.
Who are these people?
So now what I try and
How many
do
are there?
is I try and form the initial sentence first. Because before,
but while saying a sentence, that was crazy. Yo,
He literally
I'm glad there were other people
While
here.
he was talking, I was like,
He buffered. We were watching you, and then I
I'll
thought
buffer.
I thought my real life internet. I don't even you. I was so thrown there that I was like, am I the only person witnessing this?
Unbuffer.
You were also completely still.
Yes, I was
No, you didn't move, Dave.
Yes.
You didn't blink.
My
You
own-
didn't move your body.
My own way of living. My own way of living is to talk. But then people are like, you're just saying wild things. So now I'm like,
But
okay.
you wouldn't say that to him, though. You would
No,
say
you
he's
didn't
just,
say it.
He
No,
would
but
just,
in
he's
general.
just being.
No, just in general. So then I'm like, okay, if I'm just saying wild things all the time, maybe I should pause for 1 second and then think
no,
about the
don't.
thing I'm going to
Wait. What's the name of that culture? The Gupta, was it?
say.
The Kupta.
Yes.
Cook time.
Yeah,
The
the
Kuktayor.
Kukta.
Kuktai.
Kuktayor.
Kuktayor. Yeah, Dave was like a teller at a bank in Kuktayor. He was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It would have been better if he did. It would have been better if he did that.
No.
He didn't even because this is an international sign of there's something that's about to happen. He chose no language of like letting you know something is still going to happen. So normally people go like, I was thinking about how so this is the international sign for continue listening because something is still happening.
You're holding space.
Dave, thank you. His language that he chose was complete
Because I'm doing a new one. It's
and
new.
utter silence, and
It's new. I'm gathering myself. I'm gathering my thoughts. Because sometimes my thoughts are too wild, so I'm
What
trying to
about
make.
us?
but we didn't know there was any gathering
Okay,
happening.
sorry. Okay, here's the thought. Because I'm trying to say it in the.
Okay.
Here's the thought. Okay.
Yes, okay,
I've
say the
gathered.
thought. Okay.
I've gathered.
Yes, we're ready.
Here it goes. Here it goes. Here's a question.
Okay,
Here's a
yeah, we're
question.
listening.
If I farted right now,
Wow. After all of that, this is the gathered thought.
wait.
Jesus, Lera, I'm so sorry.
If
I
I
can't
fart-
apologize
I tried to
enough.
stop him.
You did try. You
I
did try.
farted right now.
Oh, goodness.
There's a question. Who would you blame?
You told us you farted.
Well, different cultures would approach this differently.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So now, this is what I'm saying. Because, arguably, sometimes, I didn't want to take it here, but arguably, sometimes when you fart, you are farting. Do you know what I mean? You're going, we all, have you
actually
farted
done
before,
something
Lera?
brilliant
Have
here.
you farted before?
You've actually done something
You
very
know-
brilliant here.
Yes.
I see what you've
Sometimes-
done here.
Yes. So sometimes we go, I am actually farting. Cool.
Yes, I am the fart. I'm
Yes.
the passer of air throughout,
That
yes,
is
through my
what?
body. Yes.
Yes. Then other times, I'm not farting.
Yeah.
But my body's
escaped.
farting.
Yes, a fart has escaped.
You know, I'm being, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
my
this is
body
true.
is farting. You know, that kind of thing. And another time, sometimes my body has refused to stop farting. You know, that kind of
Yes.
thing. You're like, guys, and we flatten
You would make a fantastic field linguist because you're able to delineate all of these different ways of causal involvement.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yes. So some languages will make very different grammatical constructions for those different kinds of expulsions.
Yes. So
Expulsions.
in certain languages for real, they would be like, what does that smell? My body farted.
Yes.
Like literally, it wasn't me. I am a gentleman. I would not fart in public. Well, I fart in front of you guys, but not in front of a lady. But and then
Why are we
then,
so unlucky? Why us?
But
A selfish spirit escaped
A self-reflective fart is the worst kind of fart. The owner, insufferable. The fart you're now.
yes. So
let me give you an example.
here's an example.
Dave.
Here's a professional example. Yes,
Let me
You know what? Ne?
professional example.
The fart.
No.
Let me-
You're not
let-
gonna fart right now. Are you?
You know what, Dave? Please, we are so sorry.
let me give you an example. So in English,
Yeah. Sorry, we need a moment. Sorry. Let's gather. Let's also get a chance to gather ourselves. We are so sorry. Yesterday, we were on form.
this is perfect.
Oh my goodness.
So take Romeo drank the poison, Socrates drank the poison, Caesar drank the poison. In English, all of those are the same grammatical construction. You can say drank the poison in all three cases. Socrates knows he's drinking poison. He doesn't want to be drinking poison. He's been sentenced to
The
death.
hemlock situation.
Caesar doesn't know he's drinking poison. He thinks he's drinking wine. Someone has poisoned his wine. Romeo wants to be drinking poison and believes he's drinking poison. In English, those are three grammatically the same.
Huh.
There are some languages like Devehi where those would be three different constructions because one is volitional, one is unintentional, one is accidental, and so on, right? And so speakers of those languages have to think, is this person intending to do it? Are they doing it volitionally? Are they doing it knowingly? And so you have to break down the event, whether it's drinking poison or letting something escape your body in a particular way.
You know what? It's the same way. In isiZulu, a king doesn't die, he bows. So they look at it as an involuntary action. A common man dies,
Oh wow.
right? So umuntu ufile,
Yeah.
which means the person has died, but inkosi ikhotheme, which means the king has bowed.
Wow.
So you're right. It's the same action or same result, but viewed from a different lens and obviously described a different way. Because the king is not seen as wanting to leave his people. He just bows.
So now what this makes me wonder is, and by the way, to answer your question, mistress is the original female of master, but then it wasn't used because over time it started to denote negative, but it is in fact mistress.
If I had a hat,
Don't press anything. We've got more What Now after this. You know, back to school season has a way of making every day feel like a race against time. And it's funny how back to school doesn't just affect the kids, it changes everyone's rhythm. Traffic gets worse, calendars fill up, dinners happen later, and suddenly anything that saves you a little time feels like a gift. Whether it's getting breakfast together, packing lunches, or figuring out dinner after a busy day, Whole Foods Market will make your life a little easier. At Whole Foods Market, you can stock up on fast and easy breakfast favorites like frozen waffles or quick egg bites. Fill lunch boxes with organic produce or essentials like cheese sticks and bagged mandarins. Or grab prepared meals for busy evenings. Whatever you need, they've got plenty of convenient options. And because it's Whole Foods Market, you know what you're getting is up to the highest quality standards. In fact, they ban more than 300 food ingredients store-wide, meaning no hydrogenated fats, no high fructose corn syrup in the baked treats, and a great selection of allergen-friendly options for the whole family. If you're really short on time, Prime members can shop at WFM.com and get their first delivery order over $25 delivered free. Terms apply. Shop back-to-school must-haves at Whole Foods Market in store or online. So this makes me wonder then, does our language influence our society's ability to forgive or blame, or like is it actually hardwired into the language itself? Because if one culture doesn't think that you killed somebody, or you like in some languages it feels like there's almost super agency. I have done everything. I crashed my car and I killed your family. and I broke my ribs in this accident, and I went to the hospital, and I had surgery, and I healed, and I went home. I am the master of my entire destiny in this world, right?
Yeah.
And then there would be another culture, by your example,
Until
where
you
they're
want
going,
to shirk responsibility, in which case you say...
For insurance.
Yes. But then there would be some cultures where somebody would go, while driving, my car was in an accident. Those people's lives ended because of the accident that occurred. I was taken to a hospital. Surgery was performed upon me because my rib had decided that it was broken, etc., etc., etc.
So here's a question I often ask my students. I say, suppose something terrible happens to a person.
Yeah.
How do we achieve justice? Suppose we find the person who did the terrible thing and we punish them appropriately. Has justice been done? And American students say, yes, that is what justice is. You find the person who did wrong and you punish them.
Right.
And then I say, well, what about restitution for the victim? Maybe what we should worry instead about is offering appropriate restitution for the victim. And they sort of secondarily say, yeah, maybe that's also something to think about. And I say, well, what about coming up with some kind of restorative justice where both parties can now live peacefully together and finding some way for them to continue to coexist in society? And that's even further from the normal American model, right? But there are models like this, models of justice like this that exist around the world where people think the primary mode or the primary role for justice is not just to punish the person who did wrong, or not just to restitute the victim, but maybe also to achieve some kind of peace between the parties. And of course, that's not the most native model for American English speakers.
And that's what I was about to ask you. Is a lot of that contained in the language itself?
It's hard to know for sure because, of course, justice systems evolve in very complex ways.
Yeah.
But in small experiments, you can see that people have different desire to punish agents depending on the language that they speak.
So now let's extend that to interpersonal communications. If you grow up speaking a language, or you speak a language that doesn't necessarily automatically assign guilt, does that then affect your ability to connect people to an action that has been done to you or an action that has occurred because of the other person? Does that separation actually happen between people on an interpersonal level? You know, so some languages may be like, "Oh, Eugene, you left me," and then in another language it might be, "You are gone. You are gone from this space, but you didn't leave me because you can't leave me." But you went from this space, and now I am without you, but you didn't leave me. Like, do you find when you're studying this that it changes how people are actually able to connect with each other in an interpersonal setting?
Well, people have different models of what causes things in general, right? So some people believe in fate. So they're very fatalistic cultures where the universe controls all of our actions. And so it's not you deciding to leave. It's just that's what fate foretold. It was written in the great book of the universe. It was written that you would leave and then at some point you would come back and so on. And so where causality and agency comes from will differ from culture to culture. Exactly pinning down that to a feature of language is challenging because there's so many things that create our model of causality.
But when we look at those, let's say we don't look at it as causality or not. Do we find, or has anyone even looked at whether or not some languages are more, or the people who speak certain languages are more or less forgiving than other people who speak other languages?
In small experiments, you can find differences in how much people blame and want to blame and punish an agent in the case of an accident. So when it's something that is an unintentional action, English speakers are more likely to want to blame and punish and will remember more who did it.
Damn. That's a big one to think that, like, because your language has told you blame has to be assigned, you then assume that blame is necessary.
Well, let me give you even a small example. If you show a video of a ball rolling onto the screen and it knocks into a vase and the vase falls, you ask English speakers to describe it, they'll say someone rolled a ball into a vase. There's no someone on the screen at all.
They will automatically assume
Assign
it.
blame.
Yeah, speakers of other languages will say a ball rolled into a vase or a ball knocked over a vase, right? And so there's something about English that has trained us that most things happen because of human agency, except, acts of God, weather, and so on. But it's the normal way of saying it, so it becomes a habit of mind. And so you look at a video where there is no agent present, but you still infer one. You say, well, some numbskull knocked the vase over with a ball.
Yeah, it's like I've seen when there's a car accident of two different races or two different cultures.
Yeah.
Some cultures will be like, what an idiot, what did you do to my car? And
Yeah.
some people will be like, are you okay?
Just because that's the first thing you're supposed to be
first thing
thinking
that,
of.
you assign blame before you can show care. Right?
Yeah,
so some
no,
people
I hear you
think like that
completely.
based on how they grew up, what language they speak, and what they hold valuable. And when you were speaking about the people who look at life in directional form, I couldn't help but think, and those who can't count higher to assign a certain number of value to things, I was thinking to myself, there must be deeply, I don't want to say religious, but spiritual people, because I think they're very much more present than we are. Because once we assign a number to things, there can be infinite things that we don't use and we don't know where they are, but we still hold dear. But for them, knowing what that thing is and what it looks like is much more important than knowing how many they are, right?
I think there are many different cosmologies that can coexist with a number system or a directional system. Right. And one of the things that we see around the world, so there are 7,000 languages spoken around the world, and some historical linguists say there could have been 500,000 languages in the past.
Is Dothraki in there?
It's just a huge amount.
It is now, I guess, because they made it.
Yeah.
So
Sorry?
Dothraki, it would be in, right? Because someone's made it.
You could. Some linguists wouldn't include it because
Okay.
it's not a naturally occurring language. But you could invent any number of new languages. And
How would they define naturally occurring, though? Because
something that God developed in a natural process of humans wanting to communicate with one another.
no, and I don't mean this to be facetious, but I'm like, how do they know that all of them were created? What if somewhere along the line someone made a language for this type of purpose, and then people started speaking it? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And there are some languages like that have like a register that is, for example, a special secret register that you only speak under certain circumstances that were
No ways. Are
specifically
you
invented
serious?
for that.
Yeah.
Yes. Like during periods of mourning, or there's a language where only women speak this version of this language under these particular circumstances.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there are things like that in the real world.
Because I've always wondered why in law or in medicine, the more complicated terms are in Latin. You could have just said this in English.
Ipso factum.
But there are natural languages being invented right now. Many of them are sign languages. So there are people around the world who are born deaf, and deafness is hereditary. And so if you're born in a really remote community where there isn't already a deaf school or some kind of deaf education, you will just encounter some other deaf people and want to communicate with them. And so all of these different sign languages are emerging. And so some of the most fascinating work on language development is looking at the development of sign languages around the world in these tiny little communities where you can see the first generation of a language, the second generation, the third
That's
generation.
really fascinating.
Because we can't do that for spoken languages. It's way gone in the past. But for these sign languages,
We
can
get to
actually
see how it
the birth-
actually began
yes, the
and
birth
why
of
it
a
began.
language. And you see how languages start to regularize and how they make their decisions about which way they're going to go. And it's super fascinating work.
Damn.
Do you think that they could be almost like if you got the best of each language, like for the justice system, it seems like the one is better than the other. The English one is more punitive and worse than the other one, which is more
Restorative.
nuanced and takes more into consideration. Do you think that they could be like when AI wipes out like 300, when AI starts wiping the people out and comes with a new one, new language, joke obviously, but do you think that they, in a thought experiment, could be like a best of, which is the best of like each language, and put together, and then this language would then solve all the problems we have, because it would have all the
new AI language, you mean?
Super language.
The super language
Yes.
would, because contained within language are solutions to problems. So within it, this language, super language, would then, if you had that super language, the problems would just almost like evaporate, because you just know how to deal with them.
Yes.
So
Ai kabanga khuri das ist possible.
From how Dave described, I don't want the super language.
Being Eastern
This is why I take
European, I
pauses.
can't imagine a world without problems. So that's you lost me there. But I think that rather than trying to say that one language is better than another, you could say, well, what if we combine both ways, right? So sometimes it's nice to have more precise terms where you say, okay, I want to call this color light blue and I want to call this color dark blue, and I want to have names for all of the different shades of blue.
Turquoise.
Other times you just want to say blue and move on with it. And there are going to be lots of times where you're not sure. So let me give you an example with arms and hands in Russian. So in Russian and lots of other languages, there's not a distinction between hand and arm. This whole appendage is called by one word, ruka. Now, often when I talk to English speakers, they say, but that's impossible. Russian speakers must know which one they're referring to, either the hand or the arm. And what I point out is that almost everything you do with the hand, the arm is also involved. And almost everything you do with the arm, the hand, when you go to shake hands, you're not just using your hand, you're using your arm. When you do arm wrestling, you're not just using your arm, you're also using your hand, right? So almost anything you can think of that involves one that you would call a hand action or an arm action in English actually also involves both. So it's an artificial distinction that English has made. And once you make that distinction, you believe that it must be true. And it must be that you really mean one or the other. So what would be the best solution? Well, why not just have both? You can have a superordinate term that includes the entire appendage. And then you can have whatever other smaller categories you want, right? So I would always choose an option that allows that kind of flexibility, that allows you to be as specific as you want and also as general as you want, because different situations call for different things.
As an aside, isn't it quite amazing that Russians did not Russian is old, thousands of years, or, someone say that, what about check at my guns? Do you know that kind of look at my guns? What?
Well, there are words for, the palm and the wrist and the fingers and and the guns, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are
but just not
specifically this distinction between the hand and the arm. This is all.
I think we're making progress if we farts to guns.
No, we really have improved. I mean, we've made leaps forward,
language model is
leaps
kicking
and
in.
bounds forwards. Could we? Now I'm wondering though if it's not the fact that a language cannot be perfect, it's the fact that
It shouldn't be perfect.
yeah, but I was also going to say that the human brain cannot, because I don't know anyone who knows every word in the dictionary. I would argue that we have all these specific things. To your point, it is infinitely as big or as small as we need it to be. So if you go to a doctor who needs to operate on your hand, they're not just going to be like, the finger part of his arm is broken. They'll go into the specific bones. They'll really break it down. So they do have that intricate knowledge.
Yeah.
And then a child can say, my arm is sore, and you don't need to be like, which part of your arm, right? So could it just be then that we have it all, but our brains either can't or don't feel that it's necessary for us to know all of the words then? I'm saying could it be that the super language already exists? Because it's continuously expanding and has been expanded and has, do you get what I'm saying? Someone has really zoomed in, someone has completely zoomed out, but we just could never or would never need to possibly have a super language.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%. It's like memories, I'm sure, right?
I think any human language is the product of thousands of years of work, right? And languages have expanded and have contracted. So the history of English is a history of constantly adopting and borrowing things from lots and lots of other languages and dropping parts and getting new parts in and so on.
Bastard
So
tongue.
all languages are living things, but languages are just tools for communication and for thought. None of them capture the entire world perfectly. None of them capture what all the possible thoughts we could want to think perfectly. And that's why we have such bitter debates about language, because all of us at some point feel like the language we speak is not perfectly capturing the reality as we see it or the reality that we want to live in. And we say, well, why should I have to use gender pronouns, for example? Or why should I have to use this word instead of that word? And that's where we start to negotiate with other speakers of the same language, because we want the language to reflect the way that we think. But there is no language. There's no one language that perfectly captures already all the thoughts that you could possibly want to think.
Yeah. I sometimes think of language as, like how you said, sometimes words can encapsulate how we feel. Like sometimes when I look at something and I'm like, that looks nice, and I take out my phone, take a picture, and then I'm like, the picture almost looks like the thing that I saw. Right?
Yeah.
The eye has something that the camera does not have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I get that with language. Sometimes you just want to say something, but
The
it just
word doesn't
come.
match the thing.
It's like you're having that mini choking
Yeah.
in between.
Yes.
But your thoughts are like, it's happening in rapid speed. And your throat is like,
Yeah.
the slavery
Like
happened.
the word blech, like it's not even a word, just like blech is a better description for what you might be experiencing sometimes with a taste than any
Dave's
word
fart.
that someone could write to you. Blech. You know what I mean?
But I can't get the thought of Dave's fart. Can we?
Yeah.
Well, like when we speak to HR, can we also decide?
Speaking of Dave.
Like what words can make it to the episode and what?
Speaking of Dave, are there languages that have a default setting with, like the one you're saying about, where you say that the world is just like happening to you? You know, the negative thing is that you're a victim of the world, you know? And then another language gives you the idea that you don't have to have the world happening to you. You can also happen to the world.
That's Buddhism.
Yeah, but do you think that it's almost like, do you think that when you're in a language, there's a underlying placement between you and the environment that you don't even notice?
That definitely is the case, but you can also think of that happening even within a language. So a lot of work that psychotherapists do with their clients, for example, is to allow them to release agency for things that it seems unhealthy for them to think that they're really causing, and then to take agency for things that they can actually do and have some kind of causal power over, to learn to say, I can do this, and to learn to say, this happened to me, as opposed to I caused all of these terrible things. So even within a language, you can choose to use the language one way or the other to place yourself as an agent, which is not always good, right? Or place yourself as a passive observer, or absolve yourself of responsibility, which could also be very psychologically healthy sometimes.
In simple terms?
But that idea must be in the language.
There has to be some way of expressing it. Yeah, there
Yes.
has to.
And there might be new ways that we have not yet invented, that because people invent things.
Oh, for
that
sure.
You know, someone will be like, oh, there's this thing, and then we'll be like, that solves all of our problems, which we didn't have before. So basically what I'm saying is that as infinite as language seems currently, it still is finite, because we haven't like invented everything in language yet.
Oh yeah, there's an infinite opportunity for creating more new languages. Languages are all evolving and changing all the time, and that's a lot of the conflict that we encounter in political debates, is that people want to fight about what the new way of talking is going to be like. But in every field of science and every field of expertise, people are developing ways of talking alongside ways of thinking. And if you look at scientists' notebooks, they're developing ways of describing the thing that they're trying to think about for the very first time, at the same time as they're trying to think about it for the first time.
Damn, I didn't think about that.
So like Isaac Newton kept impeccable notes. And if you look at his notes when he's formulating the idea of force or gravity, those aren't ideas that existed, right? So he's just thinking through what this new invisible thing is that he's thinking
I never
about.
thought of that.
You see, he writes things down and crosses them out, and he's like, impetus, energy, no, no, no. And he goes back and writes it over and over and over again. And over pages, he develops a way to talk about it at the same time as he's developing a way of thinking about it. So we're always doing that in language. Obviously, Newton was doing it in a slightly elevated way.
If you don't mind me asking, for yourself, when you're engaging with people, on a personal level, do you think you have a higher level of being able to achieve this? So if somebody's trying to argue with you, for instance, do you see beyond where most people would end naturally? Does your...
Of course.
I wonder if your training... No, really.
Basically, Trevor is trying to figure out if whenever you argue with people, do you think I'm better than you?
No, I'm not thinking that she knows she's better than them. That's not the question. I'm asking more like, in the same way, a boxer, for instance, if you tried to punch a boxer, your punch is coming at them a lot slower than most people are perceiving a punch. Most people are surprised by a punch. A boxer, if you try as just an amateur to punch them,
expecting a punch. Yeah,
they're just like, well, that was very slow and adorable, right? I wonder if you experience that as somebody who spends so much time working with language and communicating all of that. When you're speaking to somebody, do you also find that for yourself if they're even trying to argue with you?
Well, I am a lot more aware of how much of the disagreement is coming from language itself.
Yes.
And so then I have to hold myself back from giving a lecture on lexical semantics and saying, this is how words mean, and it's not the way that you think words mean, and but it's not actually helpful in creating better friendships. So I don't recommend.
It's no way to live.
But I wonder, because I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people struggle with this, interpersonally. Is someone will go, they'll say it just happens between people. They'll be like, you blah, 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 you ignored me is a great one, for instance. Let's say someone goes, you ignored me.
You were ignored by something in the world.
No, you felt
someone
ignored.
Calling you and rings twice.
Or you felt ignored, or you did not feel attention was paid to you even. Is even different to being ignored. And then so that I was wondering if you then, but now what you've basically said to me is you don't then say to them, no, your use of language isn't necessarily, what do you, so in that situation, do you just say sorry, and then you act like you don't know the answer?
Well, I haven't
exactly what you said.
I haven't found it useful to bring out my laptop and start giving them a lecture on how words mean. That has not been the best way to make friends.
So what do you do then?
But
you know the answer though.
But often you can say, there are many different ways to frame this situation, and here are all the ways that I can think of, and here are the more you open up the channels of communication, and the more you allow people to see all of the different perspectives, sometimes a light bulb does go off, and they say, hey, wait a second. I was only thinking about it from this perspective, but now I also do see that there are these other ways of thinking about it. And for me personally, let's say I'm upset about something. If I suddenly see another perspective to think about it from that allows me to not be upset, I'm so thankful. It just releases me from whatever that frustration is, where I'm like, oh, that person didn't mean that. Or that
there's a possibility that this was not how I saw it.
This situation is not a big deal, actually. And if you can give that gift to someone, then great, if they're able to receive it that way. Right. Not if you're just denying their reality or their feelings.
Okay. And then is there a language that you find you enjoy being angry in the most? What is your most effective angry language?
Russian.
Any language that you're good in is going to be the best language.
No, but that's
to be
what I'm
angry.
asking you. Which one is if you go, I'm angry, this is the language I'm going in.
I'm most fluent in English, so English I can really make a surgical strike in English. But I have had experiences where I was frustrated in Spanish, and I felt like I was being treated like a child, but I also could only speak like a child at the same time. So it's extra frustrating when you're like, no, I speak good. I good swimmer. You can't swim. So it just makes you more and more angry. So I would recommend expressing anger in a language that you're particularly adept in. But then you can make exactly the...
You know, from this conversation, especially from the question that you asked about what happens when you're engaging with people that you know far more better than, is from what I'm getting from you is it is actually a big adventure walking into those misunderstandings because you get to learn so much about yourself and the person. And how you're describing about the direction that psychotherapy is taking, and I actually love it, it can be encapsulated into 2 phrases. You can control what you can control and do what you can do. So it's do you, boo, and it is what it is. Basically, if every psychotherapist would tell their patients that, I think we'd have a better world out there because it is what it is. And do you, boo?
If I paid for therapy
and I said
and then
that,
my therapist said to me, it is what it is, and do you, boo? That's all we've got time for. I'll see you next week. I'd be like, there will be no next week.
Yeah, if the pilot says
because
we're gonna be experiencing turbulence at about 30,000 feet, you're like, it is what it is, man. And he's like, I'm gonna take a slight left turn. And like,
do you, boo?
Lera, hold on. What got you into this language, the love of language and brain?
Well, partially it was the experience of moving from a Russian-speaking environment to an English-speaking environment, of course. I went from a world where one set of things were true to a world where exactly the opposite set of things were true, right? So moving from the Soviet Union to America, all of a sudden I was in a completely different conceptual universe. But also I was just a very argumentative kid, and I started noticing as a teenager that so many of the arguments I would get into really were pinned on how people were using words. That one person we were using the same words, but we meant different things by them. And then I thought if we study language, we might be able to get to the underlying truth. It turned out to be that the more you study language, the more you realize language doesn't reflect an underlying truth. It's just a tool for communication. It's a tool for thought. It's useful, but it allows you to understand how humans actually became as smart and sophisticated as we are. Yeah.
And then, okay, and it's almost like, what do you hope to give us? I mean, that's a,
that's a big assumption that she wanted to give us anything.
Big, no, I like what
Lera was there going like, who the hell are you?
No.
Who the hell are you, boo? Like, I'm giving, what do I want to give you?
boo?
No,
You guys are lucky that I even showed up.
No, is our takeaway that our engagement, that there's this thing that sits in the middle, language, and we should look at that, almost like you said, look at that before we get to the person. Like there might be this invisible sort of like thing that's determining how we think, but we are unaware that it is determining how we think. So it's not all them, and it maybe not all us. It might be this middle thing.
That would make life very complicated.
So definitely that, the more aware you are of how much you're being shaped by, how much you're being funneled into certain ways of thinking by your language, by your culture, by your experience, that once you become aware of it, you're free to then look out of the trench and see, are there other ways of thinking about it that I might enjoy, that might be helpful to me? But also often when we're talking about these examples where these other people elsewhere think differently, it can kind of seem exotic, like, oh, these other exotic people elsewhere, they think in these funny ways, when in fact all of us are being influenced by the languages that we speak, right? So it's an opportunity to turn the mirror on yourself and say, why is it that I think the thoughts that I think? Are those the thoughts that I necessarily need to think? Could I think differently? What are the opportunities for me to go beyond the ways that I think now? Because all of our brains are capable of so much more than the simple routines that we put them through every day. And so the more aware we become of the things that have trained us, the more we can actually use them as powerful tools to create the kinds of thoughts that we want to build.
Thank you.
Damn.
You know, this is a very serious question. Since you walked into the studio, I was wondering to myself, the dress, wool or cashmere?
Wool.
It's fantastic. Wool.
Thank you. It's from the 40s.
No way.
Yeah.
Vintage?
Yeah. Somehow has survived this whole time.
You thrifted it or was it passed
thrifted
down?
it. Yeah.
No way. Looks fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's got great energy.
Thank you. Thank you for noticing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also noticed, but I thought we're not allowed to say that. But I mean, come on.
You didn't notice shit. You just heard about cashmere for the first time now. Dave was literally there like cashmere outside. Cashmere where? Lera, this has been great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
As a room of
you so much,
bilinguals. By the way, do you just say bilingual if the person can speak more, or do you just
Multilingual.
you'll just go multi, and then beyond that we don't use the numbers. So as a room of multilinguals,
You could say quadrilingual.
no, we don't need
whatever,
to. We don't need to.
septilingual.
No,
whatever.
it's not necessary. As a room of few linguals, we appreciate you.
Duolinguals.
Yeah. No, I look. I mean, I love it selfishly because it helps me understand like how my brain processes this stuff. But to sort of what Dave was alluding to, and then Eugene as well, is like it's interesting to realize that we are all. I like that you said we're at the mercy of the tool that we're using, thinking that we're expressing ourselves when we're actually being used, using a tool to express ourselves.
Yeah.
So if you're only given a hammer, and then I go like express yourself with it, you might break a few things because it's the only tool you have to express yourself, and you may never think that the hammer is the reason.
Yes.
And so if we only have the words that we have, we may struggle to understand why the world is reacting to us the way it is, or why we are impacting the world the way we are. But it's just because of the tool that we have access to.
Yeah,
So-
my English teacher used to say your vocabulary is like clothes in a suitcase, and sometimes you pack the wrong clothes.
Damn.
What a great quote.
That's a fantastic quote. What did you get in English? What was your grade?
Hey, Baba. Hey, you could have left it at grade.
No, that was great, Eugene. Thank you so much for that. Lera, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much
was
for
really
having
wonderful.
me.
I appreciate
really
it.
fun. So fun.
Thank you so much for watching the episode. If you enjoyed it, pass it on to a friend. If you didn't enjoy it, pass it on to your friend still. Let them suffer for a change. And don't forget to engage with us in the comments. If you want to suggest a guest, maybe there's questions you want, maybe there's ideas that you have, you can chat to us. We will read through the comments and we'll get into it. Either way, I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for hanging out with us on What Now. And remember, we do this for you, so we would like to hear from you. Till next time, thank you.